phone. I can hardly hear you.
Oh, okay. This is Keith Jackson from Behind the Mic. Do you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you much better.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, thanks, Oscar. We appreciate this. We're a minute in coming into the show. This is Brad Dalius, who's the host of the show.
What is that noise?
Oh, tell him it's the music behind.
Hey, Mr. Robertson, this is Brad Dalius. Yeah, we're in a sports bar setting here tonight, broadcasting remotely, but we appreciate you coming on the show. Can you hear me?
Listen, yeah, I can hardly hear. There's so much noise on the phone. I can hardly hear you.
Okay, can you hear us? You hear me better? You hear me better?
Now, can you call me back?
Yeah,
I can't. What is that noise?
I'm gonna call you back. We'll call you back.
Yes.
All right. I don't know if it's he's hearing the noise. Let me call
The music?
Call my phone.
Okay.
Come on. Let me call it.
Okay.
Let's just do a quick test.
Wide receiver played quarterback all 4 years in high school.
So there's noise, huh?
That's what he's saying.
He's hearing the background.
Yeah, it's just the music.
Ask if they can turn down the music. Maybe if they can turn down the music just for this interview. They can turn it down or turn it off.
He's a great quarterback, but we don't have Oh, yeah. Yeah. But he's going to get a word being on that ground, right now, that offensive line. Nothing like that. I'm just trying to keep up a little bit with what's going to happen.
Just go over there.
Some people I'll watch all the way through college. Yeah, I want to say college. I don't even watch Florida every time they come up.
All right. Let's call him.
Okay.
Go ahead and speak.
Hello.
Hey, Mr. Robertson, this is us again here from Behind the Mic. Is this better now? Can you hear us?
Yeah, much better.
Awesome.
Thanks for calling back.
Mr. Robertson, thank you for your time. This is Keith talking to you. Thank you for your time, and we're about to start up right now.
You know, I don't know where you are, but somebody's talking after you finish your conversation.
Oh, okay.
I think we got it fixed now.
Yeah, we got it fixed. I think what it is that we're close to each other on the mic, and we're in a bar area. That's where we're hosting our show from today. And so you're probably hearing some other people talk behind you. Yeah, it's like it's like a restaurant. We're in a restaurant. We broadcast from there. So that's probably what you're hearing.
Listen, do you want to call me on my home phone? Will it do better?
Yeah, we can do that. I mean,
whatever's most comfortable
for you, we can do that. Whatever's most comfortable.
It's area code 513.
I got it.
871-0200.
Okay, I'll do that. 871-0200.
513.
Okay.
871-0200.
Okay, we'll do that right now.
Thank you.
All right. I don't know if it's mine.
I don't know.
It's weird.
It is weird. I don't understand, especially when you come over here to this one.
You can hear it clear.
I don't get it at all. It doesn't make any sense.
Go ahead and talk.
Hello.
Hey, Mr. Robertson, is this better now?
It's much better.
Much better? Okay, perfect.
Hang tight. We're going to start the show right now.
Go right ahead.
This is Behind the Mic with Brad Dalius.
Hello?
Welcome into Behind the Mic. Brad Dalius, Keith Jackson, broadcasting live from Grunion Sports Bar and Grill here in Manhattan Beach. Another busy night as we dive into a very busy world of sports. We all know they had the big NBA awards earlier this week here in Los Angeles. Keith, we talked about it extensively last night. A lot of big winners, obviously, young and old, across, spanning really a lot of generations across the NBA. So it was a great award show on Monday night, and now it's our privilege tonight here, very top of the show, Behind the Mic, to have one of the greats on this program here, NBA Hall of Famer, the Big O, as we're now joined on the line tonight by Oscar Robertson. Oscar, we appreciate your time tonight. How are things going?
Pretty good, thank you.
It's great to have you on, like I said. Of course, you are the 2018 NBA Lifetime Achievement Award recipient. You officially received that award during Monday night's award show, as I mentioned just a moment ago. Right off the bat, of all the awards you've won throughout your career, Oscar, all the accolades you've accumulated during your career and in your life as well, where does this one rank specifically for you?
This is a top award. I'm very happy about it. Happy about the being recognized by the NBA for the work I did both on and off the court.
Hey, Oscar, having this Lifetime Achievement Award, and you set example for a lot of many players in the NBA. What do you want them to remember in terms of when you get an award like this? What is one thing that you want those guys to remember and take from you getting that Lifetime Achievement Award?
Well, I'm gonna try to answer because I'm still hearing that noise. But I think the award means a lot to me because I was involved throughout my career as being the president of the Basketball Retired Players Association and also the Players Association. And I think what we did to get together and talk about conditions, having better conditions for basketball players, and finally we got to the Oscar Robertson rule, which I think propelled basketball to where it is today, which is a tremendous game for the people.
Why is that? Why has it become so great? Is it the fact that you believe you really started a great movement decades ago and everyone has been able to kind of, pick up the baton and carry along your legacy? Obviously, it's always a team effort. That's how things get done in life. If you could just kind of talk about that effect and how other people have kind of contributed to what you started.
Of course, it was a team effort because we have all the players that during my day and age who got behind this because they saw some of the things that were happening in basketball that they did not like. I think that when you look back at the Oscar Robertson rule and what effect it had, and look at what a franchise in basketball costs today, and look at all the millionaires in basketball today, and I think people really like that. A lot of people say, "Oh, guys are making too much money." Well, they're making a lot of money, but to look at the corporate world, they aren't making too much money. And I think people like to see stars, LeBron and Curry. They like to see these basketball players on the court. They don't want to know what they're doing all the time, and because of social media, they can find that out.
Hey, Oscar, you mentioned LeBron James, and he's a guy that's been really socially active and with topics and things that have come up. And very open with the way he's been active in terms of being with activism. What do you think about LeBron James and how he's really come out and really shown another side of him in terms of it's not just all about basketball?
I think guys like LeBron are right at the edge of everything because you have to understand that basketball players are humans too. They have families and they live in America. And in this day and age, I don't think athletes can afford to be quiet. Not that they have to go out and destroy things that they have, but they do have a voice. And I think a person like LeBron and many others who have some things to say about what's going on in the world, I think it's great. I think it's a great thing. Some people won't like it, but a lot of them will.
Which player do you enjoy watching the most today, Oscar, in today's NBA?
I like to watch a lot of players. I like to watch Golden State. I like the way they play. I like to watch LeBron. There are others I like to watch play, but basketball is getting to the point now where the Golden State Warriors are such an elite basketball team. They're just so hard to beat, but they're a great draw when they travel on the road.
We're talking with Oscar Robertson here on Behind the Mic, the 2018 NBA Award Lifetime Award recipient. What is your relationship like with Russell Westbrook? It's no secret that he broke your triple-double record a couple of years ago. You two seem to have, or at least friendly with each other. If you could kind of discuss your relationship with Russell.
I met Russell. I was very happy when he broke the record because I think records are made to be broken. He's a tremendous athlete, and and I'm happy he's staying with Oklahoma. But they need a little help because, as I said before, the team to beat is Golden State. But he's a tremendous athlete, and really, I mean, I think he's great for that franchise and for the people in Oklahoma City.
What is it about players who stick with one franchise throughout their careers? You have to respect players, I believe, who obviously want to win a championship being part of a team. But at the same time, Oscar, I think you would agree that there's something very special about a player, kind of like Russell at this point throughout his career, who's just stayed with one team. Your thoughts?
Well, I think you'd ask me about players staying with one team. If you look back at the history of basketball, if you go way back, Bill Russell actually came from St. Louis. He came from St. Louis because, I'll tell you this, because St. Louis did not want any black players on their basketball team, and he was traded when he came back from the Olympics before he ever played a game with St. Louis and went to Boston, and the rest is history. You're going to find in this game today, when you do not have a contract, you have the right, and a legal right to go to any other team that'll pay you. Some teams would like to keep players. Of course, they like to keep players. But you have to understand the owners are involved in this as well, because if they didn't have the money out there for certain players like Kevin Durant, who went to Golden State, he never would have gone there at all.
Oscar, what is your thoughts on these super teams, so-called? They call them super teams. I mean, back when you played in the team that you played for in 1971 with Kareem and Flynn Robertson, do you think that's comparable as a super team as today's game and the LeBron James with Chris Bosh, Dwayne Wade, that supposedly, and then you have the new one with Steph Curry, Draymond, those guys?
Well, I think you asked me about the team that I played with in '71 and whether or not you can keep those teams together. I don't think in this day and age you'll be able to keep teams together forever and ever. If you look at basketball today, you're talking about free agency and players going to different teams. There are a lot of players going who are not stars. I think the difference is that people want to control the stars because the stars are very important to each team that they play with, because they have fan appeal and they draw a lot of fans to games that they play in, and it makes their franchise worth a lot more money. But you're going to see a lot of players who are like seventh and eighth man, maybe the fifth man on the team. A lot of those players are going to go to other teams, and there's not a lot said about it.
What's the biggest difference between players in your era, Oscar, compared to today?
Well, I've said the biggest difference, you had guys like Kareem, you had Wilt Chamberlain and Bill Russell.
Yeah, they don't make them like those anymore.
You had great centers playing in those days, and you don't have that today. You have great athletes, but you don't have any real great centers like those players that I just mentioned at all.
Oscar, what is your thoughts on teams not going to the White House after winning the championship?
I can't hardly hear you, Nandis. I'm talking in the background, and it's really drowning both out.
I'm sorry. I was asking, what is your thoughts on teams not going to the White House? You have Golden State that they haven't gone the last 2 years. They went. What is your thoughts on that? Do you think it's something that they should do, or is something that you like is a choice? Like, hey, they don't want to go, they don't want to go. Or you think they're missing out on something by not going?
I think in the past years gone by, usually the winning team goes to the White House and they're honored and they meet the president. But here again, we have so many issues going on in the world today, and basketball players are very intelligent. They have thoughts about who they like doing this and that, and the way they want to live. And so, if some decide they don't want to go to the White House, I mean, it's up to the team to decide. I'm sure it's a team concept. I don't think one person on the team decides I don't want to go and that's it. I think that most of the teams get together and they talk about the issues, conditions, and things that are going on in the country, and they decide from that point.
NBA Hall of Famer Oscar Robertson joining us here on the line behind the mic. What is something that you want people to remember you most by, Oscar, as far as your career and now, obviously off the court since you've retired a long time ago here? What's something, obviously you're a very humble guy in general. I think most people would agree with that one. What do you most want to be remembered for, though?
I want to remember for the play the play on the court and how I carried myself at all times, and I was able to play the 14 years, and not get hurt too bad. I got hurt a lot of times, but not too bad that I couldn't play. And also what I did with the Players Association, I think that's very, very important. It's very important to me, and I think a lot of players should understand what that meant for them in their lives today. Because just think, I don't know, I understand. You could correct me if I'm wrong about this. I think some players may make $50 million a year this year to play basketball.
Oscar, do you feel it's I recently saw something with Lance Stevenson, who's no longer going to be with the Pacers, and a lot of athletes commented about that and said, "See, this is why players gotta look out for themselves because franchises pretty much are not looking out for them." You know, I know you touched on this a little bit, but I wanted to have you kind of elaborate on what do you feel about the franchises and these players. Do you think it's a divide and there's something that they need to meet somewhere halfway, and that divide has been there for a while? But do you think it's like a divide between the franchise and these players?
Well, I think first we have to understand that basketball is a business, and the owners they know it's a business, and we have to understand that although it's a game, it's a sport, but it's still a business, and they want the best athletes to perform for them so they can win basketball games. The unfortunate part about it that not everyone's going to win. You have elite teams like Golden State, and in some franchises they care for their players a little bit more. And but it's the way you act on the court. I think it's very important to conduct yourself as a good professional basketball player, where you don't bring any, you don't do anything that's going to really harm your team, both on the court and also as far as the fans go. Because if you don't play well, I don't care who you are, you're not going to stay with the team very long.
It's all short term, no doubt. You have to make the most of your opportunity. Oscar, what was it like coming out on Monday to the NBA Awards? I would imagine you saw some guys who you haven't seen in a long time. Did you enjoy NBA Awards show on Monday?
I thoroughly enjoyed it because I was sitting at a table with Bill Russell, Elgin Baylor, and Chet Walker, some of the great stars of basketball have gone by, and we talked a little bit about certain things. We just kibitzed with each other. We didn't talk about the ins and outs of the game of basketball, but we had a time just to meet and greet, which is great for a situation like that where you can't meet these people because sometimes you hardly ever see them at all.
No, just to touch on that, Oscar, I mean, you've been in battles with some of those guys, and you guys are like great friends, Wilt Chamberlain, Kareem, and I can go on. What was it like playing with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Flynn Robinson? I mean, you guys, that team that year, I believe you guys were 66-16, that 1971 team. And what was that like, I believe, that just being with those players? And these are all players that everybody should know and remember from.
Well, I think that year I went with the Bucks. It was a growing year, educational year for all the players, because what I had to do was I had to change my game to get all these players involved in the game of basketball so we could win. And I didn't mind doing that because I was a guard. I knew the guard position very well, and I knew what I had to do as a basketball player. My scoring went down, but the production of the team went up. And we got different players, Bobby Dandridge, Greg Smith, John McLaughlin, Lucius Allen. We all got all those guys in the basketball game, and that made us successful.
Once again, the 2018 NBA Lifetime Achievement Award recipient, one of the best, Oscar Robertson, here on Behind the Mic. Oscar, we really appreciate your time tonight, taking a couple minutes out and chatting with us. All the best to you going forward, and congratulations once again on the award.
I appreciate being with you guys, and you guys take care.
You too.
Thank you, Oscar.
There he goes, once again, NBA Hall of Famer Oscar Robertson, the Big O, here on Behind the Mic. That was great, Keith. Really enjoyed that.
It was. We had sorry for the live stream, and everybody who probably saw us, someone accidentally tripped over the tripod there. We have little bloopers every now and then, but
a lot of people were looking at our graphic that was made up recently of Oscar Robertson on the phone. So I think a lot of people didn't see that, actually.
Oh, well,
unfortunately, but it was funny that regardless.
So sorry. Well, some behind-the-scenes stuff, bloopers here. However, the Big O, man, to have the Big O on Behind the Mic, Dalius, I'm going to tell you, man, that is an honor to have him on. He was great. He was great tonight. Just to say some things he touched on today, it really is interesting to me when when we touched on in terms of, like, the super teams out here. And
yes.
He said, that his teams – what's comparable from his teams and their teams, it was it's a money thing with all these franchises and things like that, how they're able to keep these players
at the end of the day.
And that's what it's about. So You know, it's just a privilege to have him on and him talk about some things, and he's definitely a great person to talk to. So I enjoyed it.
Yeah, we covered everything there, right? I mean, from top to bottom, like you said, everything that's going on from the award show on Monday, as we mentioned there, to basically his whole career and spanning everything, talking about how they don't make him like they used to.
They don't.
With Bill Russell, you think to everybody. All the all-time greats, a lot who was at his table, as he mentioned, during the award show on Monday night. They just don't make them like that anymore, and that's obviously one of the biggest differences compared to how things used to be and as they are now. So it was really, really great to just get his take on everything. He's been around a long time, Keith, right?
Yes.
I mean, he's seen so many different things. That's the really cool thing about when you have these type of interviews with living legends and guys who played 30, 40, some cases maybe 45, 50 years ago. They obviously, their career and their life spans so many decades, and so many things have happened, not only big time events in their personal life, but obviously big time events in the public as well. So he obviously has his take on a lot of different things. But I think above all, the thing that stands out to me about Oscar, Keith, is this is a guy who, by all accounts, has fully embraced everything of the current state of play of the game today in 2018.
Yeah.
He's embraced it. We talked about the interview that he had with Russell Westbrook a couple years ago, in which you actually helped to conduct that interview, being a part of TMZ Sports at the time. So it was kind of cool to get his thoughts on his relationship with Russell Westbrook. I mean, you always want to hear people say, it's great to hear at least people say that records are meant to be broken, which is obviously very true.
Yes.
So he was very humble and very gracious and somewhat passing on the torch to Russell there when he broke his triple-double record just a couple of years ago. Mm-hmm. And it's just really cool that he has fully embraced today's NBA and is up to speed with it as anybody.
And the mentorship that he gives these players, man. I mean, you got to remember something, man. These guys, I love when I turn on the TV and I see Bill Russell at the games, and you see people like LeBron James, and a lot of players come up and hug that guy because of what he's done for the game. When you see Oscar Robertson at the game, it's like you're supposed to acknowledge people like that because they've changed the game, and they are great mentors. And they have mentored these guys, and these guys can lean on them to this day. I mean, you even have people, legends that we know are modern-day legends like Kobe Bryant, Kevin Durant, LeBron James. You know, these guys lean on those guys.
Absolutely.
You know, and it's just interesting to see how, you know, exactly like you said, involved he is to the game, and they can still appreciate it, what the game is, what it has come to be. So, you know, congratulations to Oscar Robertson on his Lifetime Achievement Award. Well deserved. Well deserved.
Yeah, I echo that as well, obviously. It's kind of just, the cherry on top of the ice cream with just a great career both on and off the court, as we mentioned before while talking with him. And you get the sense that he's not done. He's got more to do to contribute to not only the game of basketball, but for other, other social issues, socioeconomic issues, humanitarian perhaps, whatever it may be. You get the sense that he's not done putting his print on society.
Yeah.
More to come.
More to come. Well, and he wasn't. One thing about him is when you interview him, he's gonna shoot it straight to you.
Yes.
He does not.
He is a straight shooter.
He's a straight shooter. He'll hold any punches. He's gonna say what he wants to say, and he's well deserved to say it. And what I like about what he's saying is how he likes players, using their they have to use their platform as when issues come up. Taking advantage of that and using your platform. You see LeBron James, who does it a lot, Steph Curry, who's done it, and so forth. So it's great to see those guys do that. I know he would like to see a lot more. I mean, there's been reported on things like that, but I think it's just everything's a stepping stone, and it's just one step at a time, and I think we're getting to that. Really,
we absolutely are.
Yeah,
we definitely are. Meanwhile, while we were talking with Oscar, the crowd really filled in here at Grunyon's, Keith. I mean, really did.
Yes.
And, I mean, almost like in the blink of an eye. So we got a packed house right now, Grunion Sports Bar and Grill, behind the mic. We're live, as always, on Wednesday nights from this great establishment here in Manhattan Beach. BehindTheMicShow.com, the Behind the Mic app. We're also live streaming right now as well, all over social media. And once again, just a great conversation there right at the top of the show with one of the all-time greats, Oscar Robertson, joining us here on Behind the Mic. So it's really great to get his thoughts if you're just joining us about everything that's going on in the basketball world, both on and off the court as well. Great show coming up tonight. We're going to play 10 questions in just a little bit, kind of go through a myriad of topics throughout the world of sports. We'll get our thoughts on those. We'll talk about a couple other different things. We're going to speak with Mike Babcock, our good friend over at TMZ Sports. We'll check in with him just past 8 o'clock, get his thoughts on the Janoris Jenkins situation with the Giants and that off-the-field incident where, unfortunately, his brother was charged today in the slaying of that 25-year-old over there in New Jersey, just outside of New York City area. Again, Mike Babcock will have the latest on that just past 8 o'clock tonight. And other NBA news, Becky Hammon was officially promoted today with the San Antonio Spurs. We can talk about that tonight, in addition to Kendrick Perkins' option being picked up by Cleveland. Big news today locally here in L.A. is that the Lakers have reopened talks with the Spurs in regards to acquiring Kawhi Leonard. I know the locals here, Keith, were chatting about that a bit before tonight's show off the air, and that's great that there's a better open channel of communications, if you believe the initial reports, that basically the Spurs kind of shut the door right in the face of the Lakers as they tried to initiate just something in regards to a potential trade with San Antonio. So that's great to see, and we can get into more of this tonight, but it almost seems like some of these free agents are waiting on what's going to happen with this Kawhi Leonard situation, which is kind of scary for the Lakers because, like I was talking about last week, I didn't think that Kawhi Leonard should be the priority of the team, but maybe it should be after all. If that's going to, if that means that you can get other guys to come here, maybe that should be the priority.
I mean, probably. It probably has to be the priority at this point in time. If they're going to reopen conversations about it, then yes. Then you got to it's almost like their hand is forced, like they have to open conversation about it. You know what I mean? Because when you look at it, it's like, Kawhi Leonard wants to go strictly to the Lakers. Well, you better find out how many. What can you get from him? No other team out there is going to want to pick up a guy for 1 year. And so, you go deal to another team, and then that team will deal with the Lakers because they're going to say, shoot.
He wants to come here.
He wants to come here.
This is his number one spot.
Yeah, it's the number one spot. They're hang-tied in the situation. And I think that's why you got all the old-timers.
San Antonio is.
They're hang-tied. Their hands are tied. And that's why you have a lot of the old-timers, I feel, and this is just my opinion, but I feel that that's why you have a lot of the old-timer Spurs, like the David Robinsons, the Bruce Bowmans, the Steven Jacksons, all the guys going at Kawhi and upset at him, because they're like, oh, he never gave them a heads up or anything like that.
With all due respect, though, to the Admiral and Tim Duncan and those other great San Antonio Spurs legends, they haven't played with Kawhi Leonard.
They haven't.
You know what I mean?
That's what I didn't understand the Bruce Bowen.
Last time I checked, I don't think that Tim Duncan and David Robinson are consultants officially to the Spurs, maybe unofficially.
Wait. This is even better. I don't understand Bruce Bowen going on Bruce
Bowen has gotten the taste of the mothership at ESPN, and he likes the airtime a little bit.
But why?
We know what's about with that.
Why would you? Why attack Kawhi Leonard, and you are working with the Clippers? Did you just take yourself out the running? Like, if there was an option there, you just took yourself. You represent the Clippers right now, not the Spurs. You shouldn't be saying anything.
Didn't make sense.
It didn't make any sense to me. But hey, I guess it's all about when you bleed black and silver, through and through. Like they're gonna stay with Pop, of course. And hey, and well respected. You should.
Yeah.
Popovich is a great coach, Hall of Fame. He's well respected around the leagues from coaches and players.
Look, it's okay to admit that your organization made a mistake. and misdiagnosing the quad injury. It's okay. It's not a perfect world. You're not going to get it right every single time. We want to believe that we have the best medical treatment staffs for every single team across the NBA and across all sports. And, for the most part, we do. I don't want to knock those guys, but they're not perfect. They're fallible. They have the ability to make mistakes. And I truly believe that's what happened here. So, to hear criticism from guys like you said, Keith, like Bruce Bowen and a lot of other former Spurs, I just think unless that's coming from Manu or Tony Parker or the guys that are actually playing with him now and have been playing with him for the last couple of seasons, maybe you would think they would know a little bit more about it than former players. Those guys aren't saying anything.
Exactly.
To me, that's telling.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I don't know. It could be telling. It could be, but it's just I don't think they should say anything because they haven't played with them, But I think it's also you got to also remember these guys people are going to ask those guys questions. Legendary David Robertson, those guys are still involved with the Spurs. It's like Kobe Bryant. He's not a consultant, but he's still involved with the Lakers. He still does stuff.
Can you picture Kobe though calling out a current Laker like that?
I can't. I don't think, but Kobe's a different breed from these guys. So that's what I feel. Like, when we talk about Kobe and Bruce Bowen, Kobe Bryant's way above Bruce Bowen. When's the last time Bruce Bowen went to All-Star game?
I got you. It's night and day.
Yeah, it's night and day. But they asked him the question, of course, these legends, because a lot of the players are not going to come out and say anything. So they're going to go to these legends, and these legends are going to go out. The guys who haven't played, they're going to say something because what do they have to lose? They have nothing to lose. They have nothing to lose or gain, or for that matter. They just, hey, you ask me, I'm going to tell you, So, and most of the guys who retire from the Spurs, they're always going to go with the Spurs. So I totally, look, I don't understand it. I don't see why they would attack him or have anything to say, but of course they're gonna. It's interesting the way this whole thing is going. It's like, are you Team Kawhi or Team Spurs? That's how it feels when they interview some of these guys, and these guys are saying what they want to say, and most of them are back in the Spurs organization. Why? Because they're from it and they're old school guys. They're like, hey, you with this team, we ride or die with them for the long haul. So I get it.
It's Behind the Mic, live from Grunyon's. Brad and Keith back for more of the Kawhi Leonard to the Lakers potentially discussion continues after this.
Every 17 minutes, Make-A-Wish makes the impossible possible. They tame dragons. They bring Saturn to Earth. They help superheroes save entire cities. They even make unicorns fly. All to give children the strength they need to fight their critical illnesses. Every wish takes muscle. Help us make sure every wish comes true. Join us at wish.org.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick and proud aunt. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing, but not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. 1 in 6. That little girl sitting alone at the playground, she can't play like the other kids. She doesn't have the energy because she's hungry. School lunch will be her only meal today. It breaks my heart that this is the reality in our country, but it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste. This food is then provided to families and children in need. Being a kid should be about using your imagination, learning, and having fun. These children shouldn't have to miss out on simply being a kid because they're hungry. To find out how you can help end childhood hunger in your community, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Battles aren't won solely on the field. That's a common misconception. Battles are won within, over enemies of fear, enemies of doubt. In that place where promises are kept. Promises to oneself.
This is a physical training event!
Promises to one's community.
Healthy people move debris out of their house.
Promises to one's country. In the heart of every Marine, you'll find a promise. A promise forever kept. A promise of battles won.
Everybody buckle up. Buckle up.
Let's go.
Buckle up.
Can we go to the store? Mom, can we get some ice cream?
Everybody buckle up.
A lot goes on in the car, but you're in control. So only move when you hear the click that says they're buckled in. Never give up until they buckle up. Learn more at safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
We will never fully understand what we've asked of our military service members or their families, asking them to put themselves in harm's way, to endure it all. But we do understand that it's our turn, our duty, to keep them secure for the rest of their lives. Wounded Warrior Project long-term support programs help our most severely ill or injured veterans live independently, at no cost, for life, so that they might stand at ease. Join us at findwwp.org.
Dave, what are you doing?
Just sending a gift to Dave 2037.
Who?
Me in the future. I save a little money from every paycheck as a gift to Dave 2037, so he can spend it on things like anti-gravity boots or a hologram Doberman, something cool like that. I think Dave 2037 deserves it. He worked hard. What are you getting Steve 2037?
I guess I was thinking Steve 2037 would just fend for himself.
Well, all right, but don't expect to be borrowing my anti-gravity boots.
You want to have money in your future? You got to start saving now. Putting some money from every paycheck into a savings account or contributing to your 401k can make a big difference later. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free ideas and easy ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org.
Hey, let's just hope Steve 2037 doesn't get his hands on a cold time machine, because he is going to come back here and knock some sense into you.
This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
We will never fully understand what we've asked of our military service members or their families, asking them to put themselves in harm's way, to endure it all. But we do understand that it's our turn, our duty, to keep them secure for the rest of their lives. Wounded Warrior Project long-term support programs help our most severely ill or injured veterans live independently, at no cost, for life, so that they might stand at ease. Join us at findwwp.org.
You're listening to Behind the Mic with Brad Dalius.
Welcome back, Behind the Mic Show, live here from Grunion Sports Bar and Grill, Manhattan Beach. Brad and Keith online, BehindTheMicShow.com, also available on the Behind the Mic app. If you missed it, Oscar Robertson, the Big O, joined us at the top of the show here, talking with Keith and I. Great conversation about his receiving the NBA Lifetime Achievement Award during the NBA Award Show back on Monday, to his relationship with Russell Westbrook, to everything else that he's doing right now in association with the NBA and everything off the court as well. So that was a great chat. If you missed it, we'll have it up on the podcast later tonight, and also we'll promote it on social media as well. You got it. Definitely, you don't want to miss that if you haven't seen it yet. So that was a lot of fun there, Keith.
Yes.
We also started talking about, before the break, Kawhi Leonard, the talks between the Lakers brass and the Spurs brass starting to maybe, heat up a bit. Yep. If I can even say that. Maybe they're starting to get a little smoke going there on building the fire a bit. Mm-hmm. So that's great news for Lakers fans, obviously. Purple and Gold Nation, they want to hear that. They want to see that the Lakers and the front office is making strides and that they're working with San Antonio, because it's no secret Kawhi wants to be a Laker.
Yeah.
So obviously they're trying to make it happen. The Spurs, we talked about this last week, that they were going to be in denial. They definitely were at first. I think they're starting to maybe come around, and eventually we know they're going to accept.
have to.
Yes.
But they're gonna clean out the Lakers as much as possible. I'm gonna tell you that. And we know this. We know that the Lakers got that Luol Deng contract, and that's what they're really, really trying to get rid of. Hopefully I don't think that would not be in the deal, not with the Spurs, but I think it's going to be Ovois, Kyle Kuzma, and Brandon Ingram. I mean, I think they probably take both of them for Kawhi Leonard. I can see it. I can definitely see it
Can
happen.
we throw Lonzo in there?
Lonzo, yeah, we could probably throw Lonzo in there too. I can definitely see it happen. But I don't know if the Lakers want to throw Lonzo in there and still have that Luol Deng contract. I think that's the big thing.
Yeah, that's got to go.
They
regardless.
actually, what's interesting is they re-signed. They haven't re-signed Julius, but they extended the offer to
I saw
Julius Randle
today.
So it could be a sign and trade deal. It could be Julius Randle could be on his. It could be a sign and trade deal. It could be something he's going to sign, and San Antonio doesn't have to pay for, and Lakers will be having to pay for that. I can see that definitely happen. I can see that more happening than anything, and
that would be great actually. If they can make that work, that's kind of ideal, perfect scenario.
Yeah,
in regards to Julius.
Yeah, really, and I think they'll send Julius over there, but they probably want Julius and another person, of course. I would say what you would try to push for is Julius and Lonzo instead of like Julius trying to keep Kuz and Brandon Ingram together. But that's what I would push for. Hey, I'll give you Julius and Lonzo. So
scratch my back, I'll scratch yours.
Exactly.
That's what they're working on right now.
Exactly.
Kind of like when they signed Kentavious Pope to that 1-year deal last summer in regards to LeBron James.
Yep. Exactly. That's exactly, hit it right on the money. Exactly what we were talking about.
Very, very similar.
Very similar.
Again, like we were talking about last night, there's a lot of pressure on Magic Johnson here and Rob Pelinka to get this right, and rightfully so. But still, as Lakers fans, we should not lose sight of what they've done already to this point, and how, since coming in, they really have helped to clear things out and put everything in position to make the big moves this summer.
This conversation would not happen if they didn't clear cap space.
Yes.
I mean, let's just call it what it is. And I'm gonna say this: I just think it wasn't a great job that Jim busted at the time when he was in office.
You think? You think?
I didn't do too much of a great job. He kind of took the Lakers down, and let's just call it what it is. He killed the franchise in 1 year.
Yeah, literally.
So
no way around that.
This is, and so Lakers been digging in a hole. I mean, signed 2 horrible contracts, and one that we're still holding on to and trying to get rid of, and we just don't. It's just one of those tough things. So that you gotta, hopefully they can clear it and get rid of it. But look, man, the Lakers are in conversations now. The Lakers are in a great position. I don't think people say Magic Johnson's in some pressure. Magic Johnson's like this. The reason he came out and said what he said is because he knows in the back of his mind, Brad, that we got something. And so, of course he's going to say, yeah, if I don't have anything the next 2 years, you can ship me. I'm not coming back. So that means to tell me that Magic Johnson is very confident that somebody big is coming to the Lakers this year. Because you wouldn't say that.
You wouldn't. The way he spoke it was with a lot of confidence, obviously. He seemed to know something.
Exactly.
Know something here that's going to happen soon. So it was very optimistic. Some people are kind of running with his comments and taking it maybe the other way.
Exactly.
From a psychological standpoint of, the opposite of, maybe this is a guy who doesn't know, has no idea what's going to happen. Or it was floated out there today on some of the sports talk shows that, look, Magic is someone who's accustomed to having the ball in his hands, as one talk show host put it.
Yep.
And now he doesn't. And he doesn't really hold the cards to the ultimate decisions. And you could choose to look at it that way.
Yeah.
You could. But you could also look at it from the standpoint of him saying that here and him knowing exactly, like what you said, Keith, what is about to happen coming up.
Yeah. Hey.
So I don't think you're going to say that with not a lot of confidence in your back pocket.
Exactly. And he has a lot of confidence. So, look, you got Magic Johnson. You got one of the best agents in time in the game was Rob Pelinka, who's now of course the manager for the Lakers. Look, they got the best. They got Magic Johnson, who's going to be a great pitch, and then you got Pelinka, who's going to close it. He's the closer. He's going to closer. He's going to show you the deals, and people going to listen. So, man, it's going to be a great situation for the Lakers. And I know people are sitting on their sofas or at the couch, and they're keeping their eyes on ESPN or Roto World or wherever they're listening to their alerts, and they just can't wait to that day where that alert comes up and Lakers sign someone that's pretty big. And it's going to happen. So, of course, the city of LA is excited right now. This is an exciting time for the Lakers and the Lakers organization and Laker fans.
It's coming, baby. It's on the horizon. You can start to see the sun rising. It's coming. It's right around the corner.
Coming.
Sooner versus later.
Yep.
Let's play 10 questions here on Behind the Mic. The first one you're going to love, Keith. You've really been into this World Cup.
Oh, yes.
Probably one of the most I've talked to. You're into it. You're in that category of you're just super amped about it.
Yeah, it's a great cup.
It's been good. There's been a lot of good moments. What's been the best moment?
The best moment was today. Today was the best of the World Cup. You had Mexico come out against Sweden. Sweden needs a win to advance. They need a win to advance to the elimination of the cup. Sweden comes out and shuts out Mexico. Shuts them out.
How surprised?
Shuts them out.
Were you?
Mexico, I was like, oh, Mexico's getting beat down right now. What is going on? And then, but Mexico just needs 1 point to move on. They need 1 point. 1 point means they need one goal to move on. They haven't moved on in 16 years. So this is likely the first time ever done in their history. And they sat there and it was down to stoppage time, Brad. And the North Korea and Germany game was playing. And the backstory is behind that is North Korea needed to win. Mexico would needed a little help. If the scenario basically was that if Mexico did not score, then they needed North Korea to win. And South Korea. South Korea. They needed South Korea.
We know relations are improving, but not that good yet.
Yeah, they needed South Korea to win in order for them to advance. And what happened was, it was crazy. It was down to like the last 2 minutes of the game. Mexico's pressuring Sweden. You can see fans on their phone watching social media what's going on in South Korea and Germany. They're saying, oh, it's still shut out 0-0 right now. And then we're probably 80 minutes in and probably 10 minutes left in the game of that game. It's still 0-0. Next thing you know, South Korea scores. And Mexico's game and the clock is winding down. So Mexico is just trying to score, and the fans are like, oh my God. And they're looking at their phones now because they're like, please, South Korea, please. South Korea scores a goal. I kid you not. South Korea scores a goal. At this time, at home, I had my housekeeper. She was at our house, and she was cleaning up. Her and her family were over there, and they're cleaning up the house, and they had the game on. And you can see it. They didn't come upstairs yet. They were just finished cleaning stuff down there. You can tell they was glued to the TV. So they was like, yeah, because I was like, you want the game? I was like, yeah. And I'm upstairs glued to the TV. And South Korea scores. And then Mexico fans are going crazy, right? And
you got to play like the goal.
Yes.
Goal.
It was
go nuts.
Goal. That's how it was. So he scored a goal, right? South Korea scores, right? And then all of a sudden, the fans are going nuts. They're like celebrating while they're getting shut out. Mexico is getting the Mexico fans are celebrating because South Korea had scored because they know, yes, we're going to advance. And Sweden is just like, everyone's in the box defending the box like, nah, y'all ain't gonna score, y'all ain't gonna advance, y'all are not advancing. And Mexico was trying their best. They basically sent everybody down on the field.
Yeah.
And they were still, and then they saw you can see like Mexico was looking back, like, why are our fans celebrating? And it's like, oh, they probably thought, oh, South Korea scored. But then all of a sudden, Mexico kind of pulled back a little bit. It was winding down like a minute left. And they were like, you hear the announcers, wait a minute. There's a controversial on the goal. There's a controversial. Right now, it's not solidified. So then all of a sudden, Mexico fans are like on their phone, and they're like, their facial expressions now like all defeated after they had celebrated a little bit. Meanwhile, Mexico is just holding back, like, okay, pacing themselves. And then the game is over, and all of a sudden, Mexico fans are waiting, and they're like, well, what happened? What happened to controversial goal? And then they were like, South Korea's goal has officially been called a goal, and they went nuts. And they were like, ah. And Sweden's on there celebrating in the team. It was like a soap opera, man.
Man, it sure seems that way.
Sweden's on there celebrating because they won and they advanced. Mexico's like, they're on the floor like defeated, like, dang, we didn't advance. But then all of a sudden their fans are celebrating and looking, and then they're looking up like, why are they celebrating? And they were like, dude, we advanced. South Korea scored. And then all they start being happy. So everybody's happy at the Sweden and South Mexico game. But kudos to Sweden for shutting out Mexico.
Yeah, that's impressive.
You know, and kudos to South Korea, knocked off Germany, who Germany has been dominant the last couple of years.
Long time.
In the World Cup. And they got knocked out. And the announcers was like, they should be ashamed of themselves. And I'm like, look, they can't win every time. Like, dang, this wasn't the year. It's been an exciting time for soccer.
They got high expectations over there, apparently.
He's going to be a new champion. And that was the most exciting moment. And I can say, all you soccer fans out there that's listened to this story, you know that's the most exciting moment. That was more exciting than Germany scoring that goal last week at the end and needing that goal to score to advance to the Korean game, for them not to knock themselves out, basically.
Exactly.
And they scored that indirect kick at the very last second. So that Mexico soap opera today.
We got a lot of Americans rooting for Team Mexico, too.
Of course, man.
That just plays into it.
We ain't got no dang team in the... Shame on you, USA.
Who's been the MVP, Keith, so far?
Of the World Cup?
Yeah.
Oh, man, you got to go with Cristiano Ronaldo right now.
Does the dude ever have a bad day in general?
He's had a phenomenal...
Like, I'm not talking just, like, on the soccer field, but the dude doesn't seem to have a bad day in general.
Nah. I mean, there's a reason he's... $400 million athlete.
He's just killing it right
There's
now.
a reason for that, and look, he earns every last penny of it. You know, so he's great is what he's been doing, and he's definitely an MVP this year.
Switching gears to basketball. Okay, Keith, which player is going to make the first splash in free agency to sign with a new team?
First splash?
To move teams.
Man. To move teams?
Yeah.
Which team or which player?
Which player? Either, if they come to be a part of a new team via trade or via signing as a free agent. Who's it going to be?
I've been saying LeBron James because I think everybody's still waiting on what he does in order to sign. But now with this new report of Lakers are reopening conversation with Kawhi Leonard, I think something there is going to happen. I think something there will probably happen first before LeBron makes his full decision what to do.
And that's shocking to me.
It is, because everybody really is waiting on Kawhi to LeBron James. They really, I'll be honest with you. Look, you have guys like, you have other teams that picked up. Okay, Chris Paul re-signed again. Guys that re-signed with teams.
Yeah.
And then you got guys that say, have them opted out, I'm a free agent, but nobody really cared because everybody's eyeing one person.
Yeah, the big splash.
The big splash, LeBron James, and where he's going to go. And after that, then we're going to hear a whole bunch of stuff going on. I'm still just waiting on this Dwight Howard going to Golden State, because if he's going to Golden State, it is over.
It's already over.
It's over.
They're already going to win. You mean winning a championship next year?
Yeah, it's over.
Well, they're already winning a championship.
Nobody's winning. Nobody's beating that.
Nobody's beating it right now. Is currently constructed.
Exactly.
Dwight Howard's going to be a footnote on that team.
God.
He's going to be a footnote.
Dude, Dwight Howard for the league minimum. Minimum.
Yeah, because he wants to win a ship.
Well, no, they can sign him for that because
Brooklyn's
going to buy him out.
Right, because Brooklyn right now is basically, that franchise is being run by idiots. I mean, basically, with all the draft picks they've given up in the last couple of years to Boston.
Did you see the players they would have had? If you looked at it, they passed up on Damian Lillard. There was like a
you
book.
Mean that albatross of with Billy King and the billionaire.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course. Oh, they botched that thing. That was an epic disaster, Keith, of biblical proportions. That trade when they acquired Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett. And trade away all those draft picks.
Yeah.
That was horrible. That was the steal of the year by Danny Ainge.
That was. But
he didn't need to make any steals at all in his NBA career. That would have been his one steal. He would have been great.
But there was something on Baller Alert, I believe I was talking on Instagram, and it showed all the players that they could have drafted at the time since they've been there. And, dude, they would have had Draymond. They had like a chance to get Draymond Green.
Oh, yeah, they would have been set up
Damian
nice.
Lillard. They had all kind of players they could have gotten.
That franchise just can't get out of its own way. Kind of like the Knicks. It's a good thing that actually both teams are in the same town. It makes a lot of sense. They're kind of connected a lot of different ways there.
Sorry, Jay-Z.
Switching gears now to baseball, Keith. Who's more valuable to their team right now? Is Trout more valuable to the Angels, or is Stanton more valuable to the Yankees?
Oh, okay. That's a tough one because we just got off this subject yesterday about Trout. And, Trout is because Carl Stanton, you got Aaron Judge over there. You got, come on.
Yeah, they're stacked.
They're stacked. So losing one of those guys, they still competing. But losing Mike Trout and not getting anything for it, man, you talk about another Miami over there.
I guess it depends how you look at it because you can make the case that maybe Stanton is because if they don't have Stanton, we saw last year they didn't get over the hump and they couldn't get to the World Series.
But see, the Yankees always.
You're talking about just competing
and bouncing back. They're going to compete and they're going to at least get. They're going to put themselves in at least in a situation where. Look, if they're going to get knocked out, they're going to get knocked out. They're going to be close to making the playoffs. They'll be like one player away. You lose Mike Trout, you're not one player missing away. You a lot missing away. There's a lot missing. And look, when's the last time you see the Angels? Look, that's the only spark plug on that team. They have Ohtani, but Mike Trout is like we said earlier, is the king of baseball. So when you lose something like that, and don't have anything, you not get anything for it, man, that's a lot more to lose. So I gotta go with Mike Trout.
Who will have the better NBA career, DeAndre Ayton or Luka Doncic?
Good. That's a good question.
Are you a believer? Are you a believer in DeAndre Ayton?
This is the thing. I'm not.
Or are you more so a believer in the new wave of Euro players?
That's where my whole point is. When I think about it, the first thing that comes to my mind, I'm going with the first thing is Luka Doncic. Why? Because the way the game has changed, and DeAndre Ayton is this dominant. He's like a Joel. I'm sorry, Joel. Yes, he's big like you. He's a Joel Embiid, but he ain't got a jump shot like you. So I'm going to say that. He's big like you, but he likes to stay inside and play inside. He doesn't like pick and pop. He wants to pick and roll, and he wants to get down to the basket. But this game has changed. He's going to have to do so much cardio because DeAndre Ayton is not running up the court and sprinting up and getting the ball, shooting the ball up every 3-4 seconds. Not happening. That's not his game. His game is more of a half-court set type of game. And Luka Doncic, his game is Euro game. It's what the game has evolved to right now. So right now, if it stays that way throughout their career, then Luka Doncic has the upper hand and he has the better career because it stays that way. If it changes, then DeAndre Ayton will.
That's half of 10 questions here on Behind the Mug. We're going to take a break because on the other side, we've got Mike Babcock coming up from TMZ Sports talking about that Janoris Jenkins' brother situation charged today for the homicide of that 25-year-old there in New Jersey. We'll get Mike's very, very great expertise on the situation and get his thoughts coming up. It's Behind the Mic. Brad and Keith live from Grunyon's here in Manhattan Beach.
Every 17 minutes, make a wish makes the impossible possible. They tame dragons. They bring Saturn to
I'm
Earth.
thinking because when he sent his drought out, he's hitting a lot of ambient noise.
That makes sense, I guess, because we're turning up too much.
Yeah.
All to give children the strength they need to fight their critical illnesses. Every wish takes muscle. Help us make sure every wish comes true. Join us at wish.org.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick and proud aunt. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing. But not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. 1 in 6. That little girl sitting alone at the playground, she can't play like the other kids. She doesn't have the energy because she's hungry. School lunch will be her only meal today. It breaks my heart that this is the reality in our country, but it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste. This food is then provided to families and children in need. Being a kid should be about using your imagination, learning, and having fun. These children shouldn't have to miss out on simply being a kid because they're hungry. To find out how you can help end childhood hunger in your community, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Battles aren't won solely on the field. That's a common misconception. Battles are won within, over enemies of fear, enemies of doubt. In that place where promises are kept. Promises to oneself.
This is a physical training event!
Promises to one's community.
Helping people move debris out of their house.
Promises to one's country. In the heart of every Marine, you'll find a promise. A promise forever kept. A promise of battles won.
Everybody buckle up. Buckle up.
Let's go.
Buckle up.
Can we go to the store? Mom,
Buckle
can we get
up.
some ice cream?
Everybody, buckle up.
A lot goes on in the car, but you're in control. So only move when you hear the click that says they're buckled in. Never give up until they buckle up. Learn more at safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Dave, what are you doing?
Just sending a gift to Dave 2037.
Who?
Me in the future. I save a little money from every paycheck as a gift to Dave 2037, so he can spend it on things like anti-gravity boots or a hologram Doberman, something cool like that. I think Dave 2037 deserves it. He worked hard. What are you getting Steve 2037?
I guess I was thinking Steve 2037 would just fend for himself.
Well, all right, but don't expect to be borrowing my anti-gravity boots.
You want to have money in your future? You got to start saving now. Putting some money from every paycheck into a savings account or contributing to your 401k can make a big difference later. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free ideas and easy ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org.
Hey, let's just hope Steve 2037 doesn't get his hands on a cool time machine.
Let's see if that works.
Hello.
Oh, here he is, Mike Babcock. How you doing, man?
What's up, Brad? How are you?
Doing great.
What's up, Mike? Do you hear me pretty good?
What's up, KJ? Yes, I can hear you great.
All right, perfect. We're about to start in a second. Get right to you.
I know. I can't believe you guys are making me follow Oscar Robertson.
Hey, man.
Wow, it's a tough act to follow, but we figure if anybody can do it, right?
Hey, Oscar has things to say, man.
I appreciate you inflating my ego. I appreciate that.
I was like, oh, Babcock, right there, Oscar Robertson. All right,
I can't wait to hear that. I'm looking forward to it, actually.
Welcome back Behind the Mic. Brad and Keith hanging out Wednesday night. Grunions is our spot as usual. BehindTheMicShow.com. Also available on the Behind the Mic app. Check out our live stream going on right now all over social media. If you missed it, we talked with Oscar Robertson at the top of the show tonight, talking about him receiving, Keith, his NBA Lifetime Achievement Award back on Monday at the NBA Awards Show over here in Santa Monica. Great to chat with him. I know you've talked with him before. First time for me. It was a treat. Everything you would expect. The bells and whistles, the whole 9 yards. It was a lot of fun. If you missed the interview, we'll have it up on the podcast later tonight and into tomorrow as well. Now, we're going to change the page here a little bit and talk a little NFL offseason news and off-the-field news that went on today. You might have saw this crazy story about the brother of Giants cornerback Janoris Jenkins charged in the death at a player's house. William Jenkins, the brother of Janoris, was officially charged today with aggravated manslaughter after a body was found yesterday at the player's house in right outside of New York City, Keith, in New Jersey. And more with this now. We go to the one and only Mike Babcock joining us from TMZ Sports on loan. Mike, how are things going tonight? We appreciate the time.
What's up, Brad? What's up, Keith? How you guys doing?
We're awesome. It's been a great show so far. A great atmosphere here as Grunions as usual. Great to have you on to chat
Oscar
with.
Robertson. I'm sorry. I'm sorry you have to follow Oscar with me, guys. That's a great get.
Like I told you off the air, if anyone can do it, Mike, it's going to be you, man. So talk to us.
That.
Yeah, talk to us about this crazy deal with Janoris Jenkins, his brother, being charged here with a very serious crime in New Jersey.
Yeah, I feel like every time I talk to you guys, I'm saying that this is one of the craziest stories I've heard, but we have another one of those here. Like you said, Brad, Janoris Jenkins, 34 years old, charged today with aggravated manslaughter and is now facing 10 to 30 years in prison.
What can you tell us about Roosevelt Renee, the body who was found, the 25-year-old? Basically, it looks like it was a family friend. Do you have more knowledge on the victim?
Yeah, I've actually talked to a couple of his friends. He was a guy who was a music producer, was told he was a friendly, peaceful guy who was very passionate about music. He was friends with Janoris. He was friends with Janoris' brother, William. They actually lived in that Fair Lawn, New Jersey house all together. And it seemed like everybody had a great relationship. And then obviously we find out this morning that William is a person of interest in Roosevelt's death. And then later on in the afternoon, charged, with his killing. But from everyone that I spoke with, they said that Roosevelt was a friendly, cool, passionate about music dude.
So Babcock, what was going on with how did this all just go down? Because you guys broke the story first. How did this all come about?
Yeah, and I should say, Janoris was not in the state when the body was found. Janoris was a couple thousand miles south in Florida on vacation. But the way this all unfolded, we had gotten a couple phone calls, Tuesday morning, saying that there was a whole bunch of commotion outside of Janoris' house in New Jersey. I'm from Jersey, guys. It's a North Jersey neighborhood. It's a small town. It's a very nice town. It's a nice neighborhood. It's a quiet neighborhood. And we got all these phone calls from people saying that there's a coroner van out there. There's the county sheriff. There's the town police. There's a major crimes unit. There was all this action that you never saw in that neighborhood, and they were coming in and out of Janoris' house, and that's when we first knew that something was wrong and made a whole bunch of phone calls, called the Giants. At that point, the Giants had no idea what was going on. They hadn't heard anything about this yet. Talked to Janoris' representation. They were just kind of finding out as we were finding out, but ultimately we talked to authorities, and they told us that a adult male was located in the basement, actually found by some type of worker. From what I've been told, it was some kind of a power and electric worker who was over at the house for some reason, and he discovered the body and obviously then called police. But that's kind of how it all unfolded, and then leading into today when they had the person of interest in the charges.
Mike Babcock joining us from TMZ Sports. What does this mean for the Giants, Mike? Obviously, it's been an offseason and a past year that they want to forget. They're really looking to turn the page to this 2018 campaign coming up. What does it mean for them, and specifically the defense, with Janoris being a cornerback and them trying to revamp everything defensively going into this new year? Are they concerned that obviously this could linger and be a big distraction for them as they have training camp coming up in just about a month or so?
Yeah, look, I think there was a lot of hope around the Giants team. In 2016, the Giants defense was great, and then in 2017, they really fell off a cliff as a defense and as an entire team. And I think with Saquon Barkley and the new coaching staff, I think a lot of people, a lot of Giants fans were excited about this year. And I haven't spoke with anybody specifically from the Giants at this point about what this will mean or will this affect the team. But look, these guys are people too, and I have to imagine that for Janoris Jenkins, now his brother is sitting in a jail in New York State, and his friend was found dead in his basement. So I find it hard to believe that that won't affect him. I don't know how it can't affect him.
Yeah, it's interesting you said that because, you know, Janoris Jenkins is coming up this upseason. He's expected to do some big things for the Giants this year. How do you think this will affect, like you said, affect him? Do you think, because they were saying at one point that he had nothing to do with this. He was out of town, and now are they questioning Janoris now and asking him the question if he knew anything ahead of time or what was going on, Matt? Are they doing that at all?
Right. I've spoken with some people, Keith, and from what I've been told, Janoris has been told to stay away. Don't come back home to New Jersey and try to straighten things out at home. Just stay in Florida, stay away. The most puzzling thing about this entire story to me right now is that the body was found at around 10 a.m., 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, Tuesday morning. 8 hours before the body was found, Janoris' brother was arrested in New York State on a parole violation. So before the body was located, he was arrested, and I think that's the puzzling thing right now. Why exactly was Janoris' brother arrested 300 miles north in New York State before the body was found? So I think there definitely are still questions about what exactly happened, but at least from the people that we've spoken with, I don't think anybody has, pointed to Janoris having been involved in any way.
It's amazing. We had you on recently, Mike, talking about Kellen Winslow Jr. and the situation that went on with him not too long ago. And how, again, it's just crazy how we see so many of these stories with guys who are associated with the National Football League and in the offseason, you know? It really is just amazing how these continue to pile up like this. But, sometimes it's the wrong place at the wrong time. I know we really want to bring down the hammer on these guys most of the time, and a lot of time it's justified. But sometimes, like I said, it can just kind of be the wrong place, the wrong time. So, obviously, we hope for the best here with this situation with him. And overall, we know you're a Giants fan, Mike, and with Pat Shurmur entering his first season coming up, the team overall, besides this particular instant that happened here, what are your thoughts on Pat Shurmur and how he's kind of handling everything? Like we talked about how it's been a crazy, really full calendar year for this franchise. How do you think he's doing so far, handling everything? Not to mention the Gettleman cancer diagnosis recently.
Right, that was obviously sad. That was tough news. I wish him the best. Look, I was, as a fan, this is me as the fan speaking here. I was highly upset with how last year went, particularly with Ben McAdoo's benching of Eli Manning. So I don't like to celebrate people losing their jobs, but I can't say I was sad to see Ben McAdoo go. And look, the first time around for Pat Shurmur as a head coach, it wasn't successful. But I think we've seen a bunch of guys who have, not exactly nailed it their first time, but on the second time have been really successful. So I've been happy with Pat Shurmur so far. I am excited that they have bolstered the offensive line. I think that was, to a large degree, the issue last year, and I think that's why Eli looked so bad, because we know we don't care who the quarterback is. If you are not going to be protected up front, then you have no chance. So they added some pieces, the left tackle. They drafted Will Hernandez. So I'm happy with the offensive line. I'm excited for what Saquon Barkley can bring to the offense. So I feel very positive. I honestly feel, and maybe this is just me with my blue-colored glasses here, but I really feel like the Giants can win the division this year.
Look out. I mean, if they're,
strong statement, man.
When you've got a ram of a player, if you will, in Saquon Barkley coming out of the backfield, I don't care. There's just going to be a rookie here in his first NFL season. I mean, did you see the ESPN the body issue here? I mean, the dude is just totally ripped from head to toe. It's unbelievable.
Did you see his legs?
Yes.
He is
built like a brick.
He is sculpted out of marble. It's unbelievable. Yeah, I'm excited. Not only for the running game, I'm excited in the passing game too. What he'll be able to bring. So, I think not all this Janoris stuff withstanding. I think it's going to be an exciting year for the Giants.
Babs, I got to ask you, Odell Beckham. Is this the year he has to do something? If it's not, do you think they need to trade him? Also, do you think the Giants need to? And this is just your opinion. Do you think the Giants need to make a play at Dez Bryant?
Sorry, the last part of that, Keith, was what I didn't hear you.
Do you think the Giants need to make a play for Dez Bryant?
Personally, I wouldn't want them to add Dez. I don't think the juice is worth the squeeze now. Just from watching him a couple times a year, obviously when the Giants and Cowboys played, and I don't know. I just get the feeling that his best days are behind him. But I do think it's an important year for Odell. I think the Giants are in a little bit of a tough spot here. Do you give him this massive contract? Do you try to hold off? I think it is a tough spot with him coming off the injury. It's difficult. I don't know what I would do if I was in the Giants' shoes, but I do think it's an important year for Odell. And obviously, if he doesn't get the contract but goes out and produces, then he has a lot of money coming his way.
The one and only Mike Babcock from TMZ Sports with the latest of the brother of Giants cornerback Janoris Jenkins. We'll continue to follow this story. I would imagine we haven't heard the last of it. Mike, always a pleasure, man. We appreciate it.
Brad and Keith, thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Take care, brother.
There he goes once again. Mike Babcock, TMZ Sports, one of the best in the business there, Keith, giving us the latest on that crazy situation over there in Jersey. Mike is, originally from Jersey here, as he had mentioned, so he's kind of familiar with the area. It sounds like it was somewhat of a nice neighborhood, not usually accustomed to seeing any type of crime happen. It's not the first time that we've seen that in general. That happens sometimes, unfortunately, and this just seems like, a terrible tragedy of a situation. So we're going to learn more, obviously, as time goes on.
Definitely going to learn more about it. I think what you're going to see is we're going to see, this situation unfold, and you're going to probably, I don't know. We don't know if the guy's guilty or not or anything like that. But make sure you follow TMZ Sports. I'm sure they're gonna end up breaking it and find out what really is going on over there. They've been on top of this story they're the one that broke the story, so they've been on top of it for a minute. So make sure you follow them, or if you don't hear from him, be sure we know over here on the radio show Behind the Mic with Brad Dash, we're definitely going to get them on, and they're going to tell us what's going on. So what a unfortunate situation for Janoris Jenkins and his family member, his brother, and a good friend of his passing away. This kind of reminds me a little bit of Aaron Hernandez.
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking.
It kind of reminded me of that along the way. The difference is that Janoris right now has nothing to do with the situation. And I'm sure they're going to be asking him some questions and things like that, but hopefully he's out the clear. And they'll get to the bottom of this. Someone's life has been taken away from them. It really sucks. It really sucks. I really feel people should be able to live out their life the way they should, but taking the life of someone, I just can't fathom to see how can people do that. So it's fortunate, and I'm hoping to see how this thing unfolds.
Meanwhile, the Angels dropped another game on the road, Keith, to the Red Sox 9-6. It just went final from Fenway. Angels drop another one there. The good news is, though, is that the Dodgers are currently up on the Cubs 6-2 as those two teams play the bottom of the third. That one over on ESPN at the moment. So Angels lose, but Dodgers, boys in blue, are on top currently. Let's get back to 10 questions here. We started half of them before we got talking there with Mike. If we go back now, we're up to number 6.
Yes, sir.
This one, going back to the NBA draft once again, ultimately, here's another one for you.
Here we go.
Who will have the better NBA career between Wendell Carter Jr. or Miles Bridges?
Ooh, that's a tough one. That's really close. But I'm going to go with Wendell Carter Jr. because he's going to play a lot more. He reminds me of Taj Gibson.
Yeah,
He's gonna play
okay. I could see that.
He reminds me of Taj Gibson. He's going to play. I think he's going to play a lot more. I think he's going to be one of the focal points of that team. I mean, of course, Zach LaVine is there, but he's going to be a key component to them, and he's going to get a lot of work early. So I think that's a great pickup for them. So I'm going to go with Wendell Carter Jr.
The Cavs announced today that they are picking up the option of Kendrick Perkins' contract.
Why?
Why? That's my question to you. Why'd they do this?
Why?
Do you like it?
Absolutely not. That's basically saying LeBron James ain't coming back to the Cavs.
Could they make it any more obvious?
So we're just going to start picking up guys. I'm sorry, Cavs fans.
It's amazing to me
It's
that
over.
people still think that chances of him going back to Cleveland are greater than him coming to the Lakers or anywhere else.
That's insane.
I don't get it.
That's why he ain't in Cleveland right now. He's in Miami. Why with his kids? Where he was? I mean, he was there with his kids, traveling, playing as they were playing some games. I just have to say, did you see little Bronny almost take off and dunk? I don't know if you saw this, but Bronny almost dunked.
I think you asked me about that yesterday.
Bronny.
And I did. I was really impressed, probably almost as impressed as LeBron was to see that.
Yeah.
That was really something to see. Now, that was down in Miami.
Where it was a place I thought he was going to probably be going, but I don't know. But I'm going to say, look, yeah, Bronny is.
That was impressive.
Bronny
He's well on his way to, living up to his dad's.
Going to 8th grade, playing above the rim. That's a good look right there.
I'd
almost
say
playing above the rim.
He's going into 8th grade?
He's going to 8th grade.
Yeah, that's pretty damn impressive.
He's going to 8th grade.
Yeah.
Remember, guys.
Just finished 7th grade.
He is just finished 7th grade. He's going to 8th grade. Bronny is not going to be in high school next year. So everyone say, oh, he's going to go. No, he's not going to be in high school this year. He will be in 8th grade. But, wow. No. Insane what he was doing.
It was amazing. I mean, it just goes to show you, kind of back to our conversation with Oscar earlier about how the game is just, you had, like these twin tower pillars of players back in the 60s and 70s, and go back to the George Mikan days in the 1950s with the old Minneapolis Lakers. But now, like, to Oscar's point, you get these just crazy athletes, and guys are just getting, they're just becoming more and more athletic.
Yeah.
And that it's obviously due to technology and better athletic training capabilities that we have today. But you're just seeing it. I mean, it's crazy. I also think back to the Alabama recruit that Nick Saban recruited, who literally, I think he's only going to be a freshman in high school next year.
Yeah.
He's already committed verbally to Alabama, and the dude is like, he looks like he's 25 years old.
Okay, I'll say this. I remember I coached Mamadou. I remember, Nnamdi Mamadou.
Yeah.
I coached against him. When you see somebody like that big and up person, you're like, are you kidding me? And I coached against him when he was at Brethren Christian. I think it was at Brethren. Was it Brethren Christian? What team was that? Was that Brethren Christian? I don't know if it was Brethren Christian or no. It wasn't Brethren Christian. I forgot which Christian. I don't know Christian school he played for. Somewhere out there. I'll get the name before the end of the night. But man, you cannot defend that dude. That dude, and that's back in high. That was back in high school, his junior year from his senior year. 7-footer. He's 7 feet. Playing above it just hooks, sky hooks, jump little 15-footers.
It's incredible.
Dunking is insane. And I've seen kids now these days, 7th graders that look like grown men. I'm like, man, you look like you in 12th grade. And but when you talk to him, you're like, he has a mind of a kid.
Telling you,
it's like,
it's unreal.
dude, it's a trip. Because you have to, like, bring yourself back, some of these coaches now.
Yeah.
Because these guys, these kids, they're only 7th graders. They're only kids, but they look like grown men. And so you, like, thinking you talking to a grown man at 1 second, you got to bring yourself back. Like, look, I'm only talking to a 12-year-old.
At first you think maybe it's just me. Because when you're that young, you think everything is naturally smaller in the world. You think, okay, maybe it's just me. But you're like, no, it's not. Because if you actually go back to, like, pictures or tape, of, old school of either yourself or your friends or family members is a big difference
It definitely
then and
is.
now.
Definitely is. So, man, interesting.
We saw that Victor Oladipo took home Comeback Player of the Year award on Monday night during the NBA Awards show. My question is, who's most likely to receive that award next year?
Comeback Player of the Year?
For next year. Who maybe had a down year this past season and who's likely to rebound, to get back?
Who had a down year.
Or who was maybe injured for the year, for most of the season or the whole season, and who could maybe
I'm going to say this.
parlay that into a
I'ma
great
say
next
this.
season.
I'm going to say this. Comeback of the year is going to be Donovan Mitchell. Even though he had a great year this year because he was robbed of Rookie of the Year. And I think he's going to come back and this following year and just be amazing of what he can do. So I got to go with Donovan Mitchell, man, because it's not because, look, Victor Oladipo, I understand his situation. Victor Oladipo was still great when he was with the Thunder. He was a great player for them. He just didn't get the ball enough because it's going to Russell Westbrook's hand. But when he had the ball, he was making some noise. Had a great year with the Pacers. He felt like this is my team. I'm gonna take ownership of it. He did. But I think Donovan Mitchell really felt some type of way, him not getting that Rookie of the Year award, because he worked so hard to get that, man. So I'm gonna say I just want to say that I think that Comeback of the Year award, I think Donovan Mitchell gets that next year, cold-heartedly.
Switching gears to the NFL, we know that Steelers running back Keith Le'Veon Bell has been in contract talks, disputes, you name it. They've gone through the ringer of everything between the organization and the player. They've kind of set that July 16th deadline coming up to get things straightened out for a long-term deal. My question is right now, we know that Bell is ultra-talented. Would you rather have Bell at the prime of his career right now or Saquon Barkley at the beginning of his career?
Oh, I don't. You know what? I'll say this. Le'Veon Bell is he is tough. He's tough. He can what he's done. He's kind of remind me of a little bit of Barry Sanders.
Yeah, he's got that flair to him.
Yeah,
I can see that.
Saquon Barkley, you know what he's done in the college game, but you don't know what he can do in the pro game yet. You see the talent in him. You know that he can be that next he can be that next maybe a reincarnated of a Reggie Bush type of player, because he has speed, but he also hits the, what he reminds me, like, I'll say this, a little bit of a Bo Jackson type
Bell.
of player. No.
Barkley. Ooh, that's a good one. No one's really talking about that.
I think he reminds you of a little bit of a Bo Jackson.
I haven't heard that comparison yet.
Because he can bust through holes. He's like a bowling ball. He can bust through holes, but we haven't seen it. We haven't seen it. We've seen it in the college game, but we haven't seen it in the pros. So right now, I'll have to lean towards Le'Veon Bell. But yeah, Le'Veon Bell.
And the last one, Keith, today ESPN tweeted out that your boy Floyd Mayweather just purchased, you're going to love this one if you hear about it, he purchased a brand new watch. He's saying that it cost him about $18 million, give or take.
I believe it. He's got many more.
What's the most you would spend for a watch?
Who, Floyd? You never know.
No, you.
Me?
Yeah.
The most I spend?
Yeah.
Man.
Let's say you're really saving up for a really good-looking watch.
Shoot.
You got a really nice Apple Watch there.
My little Apple Watch right now. I had it was like $100 or something like that. I don't know. Something around there. It was a nice one. It's a nice little. I couldn't spend almost like 3 houses or 3 homes I could get in Hermosa for that amount of money. But what I would spend on a watch, like a good Bravada or.
Yeah, let's put this. What would be the brand? How about that? What would be the brand?
It wouldn't be a Rolex. I think Rolex is too old. A Hublot.
That's nice.
A Hublot.
Yeah.
I think I would go a Hublot or Bovada. A Hublot. A Hublot's too rich. It's tough. A Hublot, maybe a couple thousand. Maybe but it's like maybe a couple thousand. If I was making a lot of money, of course, But I'll probably spend just to splurge a little bit, maybe $1,200, $1,300,
like that.
something like that. You know, something that I know I can be able to pay for.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
But I don't think I can get into the millions, man. I mean, look,
Nah, that's a little wild.
when you're making billions,
That's a little wild.
you're
Yeah.
a billionaire. You can go ahead and splurge over a couple million. So,
18 million? Get out of here, man.
I mean, Floyd, man, that's Floyd, man. Let me tell you something,
Yeah.
man. For you don't understand. Floyd spends money. Look, he spends money and he makes money. And the thing about Floyd is he's a great investor. He's smart is what he does. He people think that, oh, he's going to be broke spending money like that. No, man. Floyd, trust me.
Well, there's a reason they call him the money team.
Yeah, the money team. And on top of that, let me tell you what's great about him is the money team. He takes care of those guys. Those guys are well taken care of. They get to go every time Floyd goes on a trip to Philippines, whatever. He takes care of all those guys. He takes care of their trips, their food, everything. So, you know, the man has money, and he's a smart investor. He knows what to do with his money. And you know, I'm a huge fan of what he's been doing in terms of making smart investments, and also giving people opportunities out here to make money just like him. That's the thing about him. He feels like why he's signing fighters, he's not making money off of his fighters like that. He's trying to make them have the most money as possible, putting them in situations where they can make the most money as possible, because he says that, you know, a lot of these guys in boxing get ripped off, and they should be making more money than their promoters. I mean, if they're the ones in the ring fighting, they should be the ones making the more money, not their managers. Their managers should be making more money than them. They should be making more money than the managers and things like that. You know, and a lot of these promoters and stuff, they're getting ripped off. So, you know, Floyd's giving these guys great opportunities to come out here. And I've talked to many of them, who's part of his team members, and they'll tell you, they're like, look, man, the man he's a very humble guy. You guys, everybody out here probably thinks he's very, so to say, very arrogant and this and that. Well, he can be that way, but the man will give his shirt off his back for someone if they needed it. And that's how that guy, that's how he is. Like, straight up, a very humble guy. If you were never to meet him, he would sit there, he'll have a conversation with you, nice guy. And, you know, there's a reason why the man's 50-0. He ain't running around the ring. It's very hard to run around the ring for 50 times, you know, 50 fighters, and they throwing over 300, 400 punches at you, you know.
This ain't wrestling. This is the real deal.
He's great at what he does. Just ask Conor McGregor.
Yeah, no, it's great insight there, Keith. And I know you talk very highly of him. We've had a lot of conversations about him both on and off the air. And we're looking forward to having him on this program at some point in the future.
At some point we will. Floyd, we got to have you on, brother. Come on, man. Come on down to Behind the Mic, Brad Dalius. We got to have you on. We want to talk about some smart investments and things like that and what you're doing, brother. Come on. You know you hear me out there. But no, Floyd's a great guy, man. He's a great guy. Hopefully one day we'll have him on the show, and he can talk some things up and give us some knowledge of what's going on in his world. But right now, he's just enjoying retirement and vacationing.
That's what it's about. After going 50-0, I would say well-deserved.
Yes,
hey,
sir.
that's 10 questions here on Behind the Mic. Once again, if you missed, we just chatted with Mike Babcock from TMZ Sports just past 8 o'clock, talking about that crazy situation with Janoris Jenkins' brother being charged with a homicide there of a crime in New Jersey. For more information on that story, definitely check out tmzsports.com and everything that they're putting out. Mike did a great job of really having the pulse of that story. So our thanks once again to Mike for joining us. If you missed that interview, just like the Oscar Robertson interview, we'll have it later on tonight up in the podcast. 6-2, Dodgers still on top of the Cubs. Stu just in the bottom of the fourth over at Dodger Stadium. The Angels already lost tonight, 9-6. That's another loss, Keith, and another game in which they give up a ton of runs to another big-time player in the American League, such as the Red Sox. So right now, again, the Angels they're just not able to kind of push over the top. And although they can kind of compete and score a bunch of runs,
That's what I'm saying.
they're not able to really stick with those guys, and they don't really have the instinct right now to push it over the top and to get past some of these teams. Again, like I said last night on the broadcast, it's well more indicative of how you are when you play these big-time teams than when you know what I mean. Like if you get blown out by a team like the Red Sox or the Yankees right now, or if you give up a ton of runs, it's more indicative of where you're at versus if you're the Angels and you're blowing out a team like the Baltimore Orioles.
Yeah, that's true. And it also goes to say like this, dude. No talent on the team? Come on, man. There's talent. There's talent there. And look, they play one of the best teams in the league right now, right? Boston. They got 6 runs out of it. But we watched this game, and my whole point is I actually was following this a little bit. They were getting beat down 9-1, I think, at one point in time. It was like 9-1 or something like that, Brad.
Yeah, they lost last night 9-1 as well.
Yeah. So you're being 9-1, and then you're making a run at. That's my point.
Yeah, this has been your point. It's a great one.
When you start making big runs towards the end of the game to try to catch up, that's my whole thing. That's where it's like, dude, where's the focus? Where are you guys in the beginning of the game? Like, where's your mind at? Are you sticking to the game plan, or what is it? Because it seems like you zone in halfway in the game. You're not playing a complete 9 innings. You're playing maybe half of it. Because that's when they really start going. So, like,
you know what it is, Keith? They're getting killed at the leadoff spot.
Yeah.
Because Ian Kinsler has not really done what he was brought in to do in the offseason, which was produce for this team.
Yeah.
Leading off. He hasn't done that. Now, he was injured at the beginning of the season, but, I mean, that's long gone now. I mean, he's only hitting .216 right now. That's not that far over the Mendoza line.
Yeah.
So that's a big problem right there to kick things off with at the top of the order. They're just not getting production there. And as we look down a bit, I mean, Justin Upton has cooled off a bit, now batting a .248. He was hitting a lot better. And if you go down towards the bottom of the lineup, they're just not getting much production at all in that 7 through 9 hole.
No.
And that's really killing them. And especially in the American League, when you have the designated hitter, the pitcher doesn't even have to hit. True. You got to get production at the bottom of the lineup. And they're just getting killed right now with that. They're just not being able to get a lot of great production at the bottom of the lineup and the top of the lineup. And obviously, that's what can happen. And that's obviously a big indication of what's been going on with this team, why they're not able to, why they've been inconsistent, why they have spurts. They have spurts because the middle of the lineup, including Trout, is hitting the cover off the baseball in a lot of instances. Yeah. But then, again, what's going to happen is opposing teams, opposing managers and pitchers, they're going to see that, obviously. I mean, these are major league teams, right? Yep. They're going to find a way to pitch around you and get around and pitch to the guys that they have the best percentage of getting out. Look, we live in a day and age where sabermetrics are a big part of the game. Mm-hmm. And if you don't embrace that, I think back to the Billy Bean Hardball movie. Is it Hardball? Is that the name of the movie?
Yes.
Yeah, where obviously with the Oakland A's, where obviously if you don't embrace it, you're going to be left in the cold, just like a lot of other things. So that's not to say the Angels haven't embraced it, but they play the game an old school way, Keith. And this is more of a reflection, I think, of Scioscia being more so of an old school manager, that this, I think, leads to part of their inconsistency where they don't come off as a new age ball club. Yes, they've signed Shohei Ohtani, and that's definitely kind of leading the charge in the sense of acquiring new age players. And Mike Trout is in many ways a new age type of player as well. However, just from a managerial standpoint, I think they manage a lot of things old school. And there's an old school part to this team that just seems a little vanilla to me. And I think that's the case with a lot of fans too.
Yeah, I mean, you make a great point. And just to add to that, I'm just looking at their innings, and look what you look. The first inning 0-0, but the second inning 0-6.
Yeah,
like 6 runs, and for Boston in the second inning,
they're putting up these like crooked numbers.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's what I'm saying, Brad. That right there. And then look, they don't wake up until the 5th inning. They get a run in the 5th. They get 3 runs in the 6th. They get 2 runs in the 7th. They're waking up in these innings, and then they go, and then from there, let's just say it's out the park because Well, Boston scores 2 more runs, and they score a run in the 8th, and they scored a run in the 8th, and there they go, the Angels. They get shut out in the 8th inning and the 9th inning. That's exactly what I'm saying. It's just like they can score runs. As they go to sleep in the beginning, they don't wake up until like half the game.
You can't do that against these top echelon teams. You can't do it. There's no, I mean, if they play like this, if they're even fortunate to get into the postseason, they would be swept away so quick.
Yeah, it'll be quick.
You can't play this way. You just can't do it against the Red Sox, the Yankees, the Astros. Too much firepower on the opposition there. Way too much firepower. We saw Boston, what they've been able to do, playing consistent baseball. Look at Mookie Betts. You talk about comparing leadoff guys. Mookie Betts is batting .338 right now, compared to .216 from Ian Kinsler.
That's insane.
I mean, now obviously Mookie Betts is an MVP type candidate in the American League, so that maybe is a little unfair of a comparison, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You got to get a lot more better value out of your leadoff position, and they're just not getting it from Ian Kinsler. And that was a good move by the front office on paper to bring him in via a trade from the Tigers in the offseason, but to this point, they're just not really reaping the benefits of it.
Yeah.
And that's one of those things that it can be, very hit or miss, but if you miss on it, it's going to be magnified, the leadoff spot. And that's, again, I believe that's a big part of it right now, and there's no doubt. Now, the good news is about this team is that Billy Epler, the GM of the Angels, came out today and said that Shohei Ohtani, it's likely that we're going to see him again as a hitter this year. Now, as far as pitching goes, as we talked last night with Vincent Page from Fansided.com, we're going to find out tomorrow on Thursday whether or not what the shoulder looks like in the arm as far as his pitching availability moving forward into the rest of this year and maybe the second half of 2018. So we're going to find out about the pitching tomorrow, but today the front office at least is optimistic that he's going to be able to be a hitter and contribute at the plate so far this season going forward. So that's good news in itself. They could use a bat like him to get back at it. And we were talking at the beginning of the season, is he going to be more of a better batter for the team, more of a better pitcher? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At this point, it's more like we'll take him with whatever we can get.
Exactly. Hey,
that's what it's come to.
Yeah, I totally get it. But what it is they need to they need something. They need a miracle or something going on, because right now they just continue to drop and drop and drop. And I think it's more have to deal with the fact that, the Angels just don't. I don't think it's lack of preparation, because I think they're getting runs. I think it's just like, I don't know if it's lacking effort. I don't know what it is, Brad. But
I think it's just it's players who are not as good as their counterparts when they go up against some of these premier teams like we've been talking about.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is.
And that's when you got to start making changes, man. You got to make changes somewhere, and where that change comes, I don't know. It just, to me, doesn't make any sense when you have a team that's always competing for first place. And this wasn't just early. I mean, they had a good chunk. They had a good run. They had a good run up in there, first, second place.
Totally.
It was a good run.
They were playing as good as anyone in baseball that first month plus.
First month and plus. It wasn't like, oh, this is the third game, fifth game, 20th game of the season. No, they were having a good run, and then you just start to see them teeter off. And now they're like self-destructing, and I can't see them coming. I don't know if they're going to come back from this or whatever the case may be. Hopefully they can. But, it's a trip that, it's getting after the All-Star, we go into the second half of the season, man, and that's it. It's only a couple months. So it's going to be interesting.
As far as the American League All-Star ballot update goes, Mike Trout continues to lead the way in center field, Keith. He looks like he's probably going to start there. You got Aaron Judge out in right field. Mookie Betts, who we were just talking about, he leads the way for left fielders. That's the outfield. As far as the infield goes, Jose Altuve, he's your leading vote getter right now in the American League. From the Houston Astros at second base. Jose Abreu at first base from the Chicago White Sox. No one's even talking about them because they're having a terrible season.
Yep.
But Jose Abreu has played well for them. Manny Machado, we've talked a little bit about him here on the show as far as being somebody that the Dodgers maybe could have acquired at some point, or maybe even the Angels, Keith, because, Zach Cozart is a nice,
let's say
serviceable, shortstop.
Who needs him more?
That's
Angels
a no-brainer. Oh, the Angels, the Dodgers. Ooh, that's a good question. I thought you were going to say who needs more, the Angels or Baltimore.
No.
But yeah, Angels or Dodgers. You know what? The Dodgers have proven at this point that they can make do with what they have and kind of get by. It's the Angels that we're both concerned about.
Yeah.
Right? That's the team that could use them. I mean, Zach Cozart is a nice, serviceable shortstop, but if you have the opportunity to bring in Manny Machado, this is where almost your point comes in, Keith, that you got to start thinking outside the box with the big-time talent like Mike Trout. Now, not maybe necessarily specifically Trout in a deal, to bring in another type of star, but they got to start thinking along those lines.
They do.
That's what you have to do to bring in a guy like Machado.
Again, to me, it's about, look, you look out for the player at first. This is the same thing. I think the difficulty with players have with franchises been there so long and this and that. But I think in this situation, if it was a split, it would be maybe a mutual thing, and I think it would be for the best interest of both players. You get Mike Trout, who's going to be able to have a career where he's going to probably want to go to a team that's in a playoff contending team. And then for the Angels, they'll get a 3-for-1, possibly a 2-for-1, and of good quality players that can help and catapult this team to possibly competing and getting into a postseason matchup. So it's just really something strongly I think they need to really consider and think about. And, of course, I know Angels fans out there are like, absolutely not. We're not giving up Mike Trout.
They don't want to hear that.
They don't want to hear that. But you got to start hearing it. That's got to start coming across your mind, and you got to start hearing things like that when you're doing the same thing for the last 2-3 years and not making the playoffs. And you got to start thinking about, well, here comes a guy who wants to make the playoffs, and you think he's going towards almost his contract's going almost towards coming ending. That hey, he may want to go somewhere else. And look, if he leaves and you don't get anything for him, now you're still stuck at the same point. You're still stuck trying to get a team together that's gonna make the playoffs, where you can probably get something for him. So that's something that's not to think about now, but I definitely think after the season you got to really start thinking strongly about it.
For other players in the American League in the infield, next to Machado, you've got Jose Ramirez from the Cleveland Indians at third base, Wilson Ramos behind the plate, and the designated hitter so far is going to be J.D. Martinez from Boston. A quick update on that crazy, scary injury. If you saw it on TV, we saw it here at Grunions out of the corner of our eye, Keith. It was Jake Jewell, the rookie pitcher for the Angels, only making his third Major League appearance tonight. Basically, he went to field a play at home plate to apply a tag, and he lost his footing. His footing got tied up, and basically he rolled his ankle, and just a really, really scary scene there. And we hope everything is all right ultimately with him. But, yeah, we're just kind of watching it now. He basically, it was a kind of an errant throw, and he almost goes in for like a slide to be able to make the play. And his ankle gets rolled up there, and it just gets twisted like a pretzel. So he had to get carted off. Not a good scene, obviously, and we hope for the best for him going forward. But it was just not a good scene to see. And, again, kind of an awkward throw from the catcher. The ball got behind home plate. They had to toss it back to Jewell as he came in from the mound into home plate there. So, once again, hope Jake Jewell is okay there. Rookie just making his third appearance so far in his Major League career. So that's what would happen just a little bit ago there before they went final in Boston. Once again, Angels fall to the Red Sox tonight by a final of 9-6. Mm-hmm. As far as the Dodgers go, Keith, you mentioned about how, would Machado be better for the Dodgers or the Angels? And it's almost crazy how everyone is a lot more concerned now about the Angels than the Dodgers, and how there's almost like this sense of calm. And a lot of it has to do with the fact they were there last year. So this is a team that's done it. The Angels have not done it in a long, long time. They haven't even gotten to that point. So people are a lot more optimistic, I would think, overall right now. It seems that way here in L.A. about the Dodgers and how they're doing, and the fact that they've been able to string together a nice little streak here of 5 out of the last 6 series or so in which they've won. So the Dodgers are doing good things, and it's everything that you would want to see right now as a Dodgers fan coming up on the All-Star game in just a couple of weeks. in Washington, D.C., the location of the All-Star game. So the Dodgers are okay at the moment and starting to get healthier, too. I think that's a big thing. You talk about in the pitching rotation.
Yeah.
Their ace, Clayton Kershaw, started to make strides. Walker Buehler is set for a rehab start coming up. And, they're getting healthy at the right time here, going into the All-Star break and setting themselves up for a good start to the second half of the season, which is what you want to see. And this is the time to kind of make your move right now and to get in position.
Well, they're definitely making their move. They're only 3 games back from the Arizona Diamondbacks. And, and those games have been battles now, those series games. They've definitely gotten a lot better. Matt Kemp continues to go off on cats lately. He's starting to see.
He's been just flat out awesome.
Yeah,
what
he's
else
been great, man. But he's got a little short fuse to him. But lately, he's been having a little short fuse.
You're right. He actually he served a 1-game suspension tonight for an incident that happened back in June, I want to say.
Yeah.
In which he was suspended when he had an altercation with the Texas Rangers catcher.
Yep.
And he decided to serve his suspension, whereas Kemp appealed, and he lost the appeal. He didn't think he did anything wrong, Keith.
Yeah.
He was like, I didn't do anything wrong. I'm going to appeal it. What the hell? What do I have to lose?
So he serves.
If I lose, I have to sit out 1 game.
Yeah, whatever. But I think Matt Kemp, he's been doing a fantastic job for the Dodgers. I think that was the great pickup for them. And like you said, they haven't, I have to give it to them, man. Like, everybody, including us, everyone was panicking in terms of how they've been playing and stuff like that. And now you're starting to see a team but what's interesting? Everybody's been complaining about like how they were in the beginning. But the Dodgers, the players were like, we got this. It's going to be all right. They knew that they were going to come back and make a run. And I think it was, like I said, I think it's them pacing themselves. I think they just stopped getting interested or something like that in the game for a minute. But now you starting to see a lot of guys starting to hit the ball on the bat.
Absolutely.
And you're seeing a lot of guys making big plays. At one point it was Matt Kemp holding on the team, and he was pretty much doing everything by himself. And now he's starting to get a whole supporting cast, and everybody's starting to play well. So right now, again, they're up 6-3 or something like that right now, or 6. What's that
6-2 last time I
now?
checked.
Yeah, 6-2 right now. And look, they're rolling right now, so they're trying to catch the Arizona Diamondbacks, and I think they're trying to catch them before this All-Star break. So we'll see what happens, man. They definitely put themselves in a situation where they're like, hey, we're going to be in the playoffs. So let's see what happens with the Dodgers.
They're playing with a lot more confidence. That's a big part of it.
I think that's where it comes
from. A lot
from.
more confidence.
A lot more.
You can see that all throughout the whole team. And we mentioned Matt Kemp. He's the leading vote getter, Keith, in center field. Both LA teams have their center fielders right now between Kemp and Mike Trout. And it's just amazing. If you would have told me that Matt Kemp is probably going to be starting the All-Star game in center field in spring training, I've been like, get out of here. There's no way that's happening. But nonetheless, there he is, and kudos to him for that.
Yeah.
You have Bryce Harper from the Nationals. He's out in right field. He's the leading vote getter at that position at the moment. But how about the Atlanta Braves? Currently they've got 3 guys who are going to be starting the All-Star game.
Yeah.
That's impressive. From Nick Markakis out in left field to Ozzie Albies at second base to Freddie Freeman, who's the leading vote getter right now in the National League.
Man,
over at first base.
We haven't heard about the Atlanta Braves in so long. And they start to catapult themselves and getting back in things. I haven't heard about the Atlanta Braves since Chipper Jones.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's been a while since Chipper Jones.
They kind of blew that whole team up after he retired.
To hear from Chipper Jones. Wouldn't you love to hear from Chipper Jones?
Especially now, because I believe he's going to be inducted into Cooperstown, the Hall of Fame, next month.
Yeah, I would love to hear from Chipper Jones to find out what does he feel about the Braves in the season this year, because they really have been playing pretty well. And they've been on a roll, man. They lost 2 games. They've been on a losing streak for the last 2 games, but they've been sitting up top for a while, and they're doing their thing. So I would love to see them, hope to see them in the postseason this year.
It's looking like it's going that way between them and the Phillies in the NL East. 2 big surprises. People were almost looking at this team as like the baby Braves because they're so young at the beginning of the season, but young but with a whole lot of promise, as you're seeing right now. So those guys in Atlanta are definitely on their way to something special here. Before this season is up. It looks like it's definitely going that way. Besides the Braves, though, you got Brandon Crawford from the San Francisco Giants over at shortstop. Again, I think people are surprised that the Giants have been able to tread water here and stay above ground when some people were kind of leaving them for dead at the beginning of the season and just didn't think that with all the injuries and such, with a lot of turnover from last year, even with the acquisition of Andrew McCutchen, they just didn't think that they would be able to compete. But again, give them credit; they're hanging around. And you've also got Nolan Arenado from the Colorado Rockies. He's at the hot corner at third base, and Buster Posey, who seemingly this catcher All-Star game starting spot seems like it's almost reserved for him now every year.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy gets it. He just continues to produce. And another big reason why the Giants are staying above ground is because of a guy like Buster Posey and everything he's been able to do. So that's the look right now of both the National League and the American League rosters heading into the All-Star game in just a couple of weeks. The Midsummer Classic. Baseball's always been my favorite All-Star game, Keith. And although the wind's been taken out of the sails a little bit because it doesn't officially count anymore to determine who gets home field advantage in the World Series, to me, it's still must watch for an All-Star game, and I still think it's got a lot of juice to it.
Really?
I do. I mean,
I like the home run derby, man.
The derby's fun. Oh yeah, I've always liked Major League Baseball, their All-Star festivities.
Yeah,
it's always been fun.
Very fun.
I guess it's because it's like in the middle of summer and people are a lot of times on vacation that week.
Exactly.
And you can kind of check it out. You're usually not preoccupied with anything else. But the home run derby is great. They have like a celebrity softball game they do as well.
Yeah.
Before or after the home run derby on that Monday, I believe. So that's a lot of fun. And I've always kind of been an advocate for they should do some kind of like pitching competition.
They should.
That'd be fun.
That would be interesting. Well, how would that go about, though? How many strikes you can throw in the next 30 seconds or something like that?
That you could do it that way.
Something like that, or
you could do it that way. Yeah, you could have some kind of timer clock that you set, and whoever does it the most. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I think something like that to incorporate those guys. That would be fun, and that way you cover both guys at the plate and on the mound, and you can see everything that the game has to offer with the very best.
Yeah, that would be interesting. I think that would actually be pretty fun. It's like they do with the basketball. You know, they shoot the basketball and it comes back now and you shoot it again.
Oh, the three-point contest? Yeah, that's awesome.
You know, I think they need that with the baseball. They just stick a netting like right in the center of over the home plate or have the umpire behind. And they're throwing in a minute. How many strikes can they throw in a minute?
I'm all for it. Let's get it going.
That would be actually pretty cool.
It would be fun, right? To see them start something like that.
Yep. That would actually be pretty awesome. Just to touch on something, man, that we didn't touch on. Atlanta Braves Stadium, they found an employee. What is going on with that?
That was a crazy deal, right? I saw this headline earlier tonight. I was like, what? Like Mike Babcock was saying, Keith, I mean, when you think it can't get any crazier, it does.
Yeah.
This was a third-party contractor from Minnesota who they found, I guess, I don't know how there was a tip that was given to law enforcement officials, police, but police apparently found him in somewhat of a freezer at the Atlanta Braves ballpark.
A freezer?
I mean, this is something almost like out of The Sopranos.
Like a freezer? Like, how the hell did he get in the freezer? Did he fall in the freezer and got stuck? Like, that has to be a serious investigation.
That's what I'm saying. This is almost like something out of The Sopranos.
A frozen body in the freezer?
I'm telling you can't script this stuff.
Wow, this is like a movie right now. You're right.
It's crazy, right?
Crazy. Well, it's sports, man. It's sad to hear that, but a freezer? How do you get stuck? Like I'm going to be following that because I have to find out how is that even possible? They said the Braves haven't even commented about it.
Right. Yeah, they gotta, like you said, they gotta investigate this. This was like very fresh.
Yeah.
But they were able to identify the body of the individual. Like I said, he was a third-party contractor from Minnesota. And I would assume he was doing some kind of work at the stadium down there. And like you said, Keith, did he fall in? Was there's some foul play here?
Yeah, there's a lot of questions that need to be asked on that. Well, it's fortunate to see, man.
More on this story to come tomorrow night.
Yes.
More on this to come tomorrow night because we're going to hear more about this. This is a crazy deal. But, hey, congratulations to Becky Heyman of the San Antonio Spurs for being promoted to, I believe she's like the top assistant coach now.
That's cool.
On the bench for Pop.
She should have been the coach for the Milwaukee Bucks. You know, and but that's kudos to her. She well deserved that. She's highly respected. The players love her. She knows the game very well. I saw her in the summer league last summer, coach, and she did a phenomenal job with the Spurs summer team. I believe she'll probably be coaching them again this year in the summer league. I believe so. I don't know. I mean, with her promotion, I don't know if that
maybe
puts her up. Maybe not, because she was doing that last year. But it's coming to a time that it's going to be a women coaching in the NBA.
Oh yeah,
head coaching in the NBA. It's getting close, and let me tell you something. I believe it's going to be Becky Heyman for sure.
She seems like she's the leading candidate right now for that.
Great job. I'm happy for her.
Yeah, congratulations once again there to Becky Heyman. Big time props. Big time props for that one. And again, like you said, Keith, more good stuff to come from her real soon.
Yeah.
Awesome show tonight from Grunions here in Manhattan Beach. Big thanks to the great one, Oscar Robertson.
The big O.
Great to have him on
Thank
tonight.
you.
We appreciated his time. Big thanks to Mike Babcock from TMZ Sports. Another great crowd here at Grunions.
Oh, it's packed.
We'll talk to you tomorrow night from over at the one and only Kings Cove over in El Segundo, the Toyota Sports Center just off of Nash Street. Always a good time over there. We'll see you then. For Keith, I'm Brad. Keep living the dream.